What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the channel Fosterthepicker. My name is Dustin. In today's video we are actually going to be doing a tutorial on how to get this cigarette smoke smell out of your video games, video game consoles, as well as a lot of other things, because I think this could actually be helpful for numerous amounts of things. Now recently, if you haven't watched it, I'll put it in the eye, one of these corners over here. I had a video where I picked up a lot of video games and video game consoles, and unfortunately all those were cigarette smoke filled, and I had to come up with a plan on how to get all that cigarette smoke out of them. After scouring the internet and looking at a few YouTube channels, I actually came across another reseller that had a very similar issue, but with some of his Pokemon cards, or maybe they were like Yu-Gi-Oh! Either way, they were trading cards, and he said they smelled like cigarette smoke. His name is Primetime Treasure Hunter on YouTube, and he gave a really good explanation on exactly what he did, and I took it a little bit further, did a little bit more inside of mine to really try to get all that smoke smell out. So after taking some of his advice and putting my own twist on it, I'm going to show you guys exactly how I got the cigarette smoke smell out of the video games and video game consoles. And if you're wondering, well, how do you know that this actually worked? I actually have already sold 18 of the games that smelled so bad like cigarette smoke. I think I have 5 people leave feedback on those games stating that they were very pleased with their purchase, which is a very good rating. As you guys know, or if you don't know, feedback on eBay is extremely hard to get. So seeing a 25% feedback rate from the 18 games that we sold that were originally covered in cigarette smoke is an absolute amazing feat in itself. So let's, without further ado, get into exactly how I would manage to do this. Okay, so first off, we're going to start with the stuff you'll need to actually get this cigarette smoke out of your stuff, and that will be a roll of paper towels, some odor eliminating dryer sheets, and a big bottle of Febreze, as well as some stinky video games. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot one more thing. A very big tub. Especially if you're doing things that are big, you're going to want a tub that seals on the top, a Rubbermaid container that seals at the top, that allows all the odors to stay in, so that those eliminating odor technologies can work. So that's actually something that's going to lead me to my next point. When you pick up your dryer sheets and your Febreze, which I'm pretty sure all Febrezes do have this eliminating technology inside of them, make sure that they do. So I'll show you real quick on one of the boxes. It'll say odor eliminating technology on the front of the box. I'm pretty sure it says something like that on the Febreze as well, and that's what's going to kind of soak up, in my opinion, it's what's going to work to soak up all that cigarette smoke on your product that you're wanting to sell. I'm going to give you the exact rundown of exactly how I did my video games, and maybe you can use that in yours. Just try to use your rendition if you end up wanting to do something different besides video games. Like I said, I did video game consoles from that same deal this way too. Obviously, I went not as in depth as I did in the video games, just because there's really no place to shove into creases, or there's not as much paper on a video game console. It's all plastic, so it's a little easier to draw the smell out of. Now, the reason why I really wanted to show you the video games is that in itself, that there's paper, you know, there's paper inside, the manuals, the cover art, they all soak up that smell, and it's very difficult to get out of paper. So I'm going to show you exactly how I ended up doing that. Alright, for time's sake purposes, I'm not going to go ahead and spray the Febreze, but just act like I do in this tutorial, I guess you could call it. So we're going to take a couple sheets of the paper towel here, and then what you would want to do is lay them out, spurt them. I guess I am spraying them, whatever. Well, you spurt them, get a nice good layer on it, and then we let those sit, and then we let them dry. Obviously, you don't want to splot it like that, but you want to spray these really good. Essentially, you're making Febreze dryer sheets. So once these are sprayed and then they dry, you definitely want to make sure that they dry and just soak up all that Febreze inside of them. You don't want them wet, or else they're going to make everything, you know, damp inside of the game. So once these are dry, you're going to take a couple of these sheets, and what I ended up doing here is obviously the manual. You'll want to lay the manual inside of this, and then lay that back inside of the case, just like this. Alright, so after you get done doing that, you're going to take your Febreze odor eliminating dryer sheets, or snuggle I guess these ones are called, and you're going to open this. You're going to take one of these dryer sheets and you're going to shove it down in the back side of the case right here. And they actually, once you layer it out, it's a little bit more difficult for me to do in front of a camera. But once you lay this out, it actually fits in there really perfectly. And then you want to snap it together. Now, if you have multiple games, my suggestion is on this next part is to actually go ahead and open these up and then lay them inside of more Febreze layers, and I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, now that we're here at the bin, as you guys can see, I've already done this. So we have a mixture of dryer sheets and already Febrezed paper towels. I'm not exactly sure how long these will last. If you want to try to reuse them, save some money. But I did on a couple. It lasted me about 3 times before really it wasn't working that well anymore. But I'm going to show you, I'm going to use these as a show to how you would normally do this if you had multiple video games, or you wanted to do a mixture of video games and video game consoles. So here we have the game with the manual already wrapped up in some nice Febreze layer, and then we already put the dryer sheet in the back there to really, you know, soak up that smoke smell. So like I said, keep the game open and then just duck it underneath. Duck it underneath, put a layer or two in between, put a layer about in between each game, stack them up real nice, cover it up, and then I let that sit for roughly between 3 days to, if you can, maybe even a week. The longer you let them sit in there, the better it's going to be. Alright, so there you guys have it. That is exactly how I was able to get all the smoke smell out of my video games and off my video game consoles. Now obviously you wouldn't want to put this much work, effort, and honestly money into some games that aren't really worth it, or anything for that matter that's not worth it. So use your best judgment to figure it out. Obviously the games and the game consoles from that video were extremely valuable, and I needed to absolutely find a way to get them in an order to sell, because honestly, if I would have sent those to buyers exactly the way they smelled, I would have probably ended up with 5 negative feedbacks as opposed to 5 positive. And I haven't had a return or any customer reach out to me about those video games or video game consoles for that matter. And so obviously, in my opinion, this is the best way for it to work. Now I will be the first to say, if you can avoid putting any kind of scent on your eBay items, I would highly suggest it. Some people really hate the fact that you would put some kind of odor or scent on their item before you shipped it out to them, and I can completely understand that. But in this circumstance, I feel like this is the only way to get a bad smell out and then what's arguably a good smell in. I mean, I would much rather have my video games smelling like they came straight out of a dryer as opposed to out of a bar filled with a whole bunch of cigarette smoke. So that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate all of you watching. If you've gotten any type of help out of this video, it is completely free to you to hit the like, hit the subscribe button down below, and as always, encourage others, develop yourself, and we'll see you guys in the next one.